Welcome, everyone. I want to talk today about Neville and reality creation, and especially about The Feeling is the Secret. You can check out Neville's work. This is a great book to get, the Neville Goddard Deluxe Collection. And we're going to start really diving deep into this throughout the next few months. I am Elasa Tina Marie, and I'm here as your higher self identity coach, helping you embody your highest and best life. So, I also have here a great, here we go. So elevate your identity, master your reality. This is the Neville Goddard workbook, and it's got 11 of his best techniques and practical ways for you to practice them. I had somebody ask me today, why do you think that people who've been looking at Neville material for 30 years are still not getting it? And my answer is that they don't have practical ways of exercising his teachings. They're taught a lot, and you can actually get quite addicted to listening to Neville and people. A lot of material, I should say, not even just certain people, but with the information age that we're in, you can consume a ton of content and go down a rabbit hole and spend a whole day, a whole evening. So, with that said, I'll make sure I'm going to give some practical exercises, especially around SATs, state akin to sleep. So I want to talk about in chapter 1 of Law and its Operation in the book, The Feeling is a Secret. There's a line near here too that says the conscious is personal and selective. The subconscious is impersonal and non-selective. The conscious is the realm of effect. The subconscious is the realm of cause. He also speaks to the conscious being the masculine and subconscious being the feminine divisions of consciousness. And the conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas on the subconscious. The subconscious receives these ideas and gives them form and expression to them. And by the way that they get impressed is by how the true feeling is held about that thought of consciousness. The thought of self concept is important. So this is not emotion. The difference between feeling and emotion is like reactive, and feeling is decisive. It's who you are. It's with certainty what you feel about something. Whereas the emotional scale can go up and down. When you really drop into the certainty and knowing of a feeling, being in the wish fulfilled or the law of assumption is that you have able to attain a state where you feel whatever it is you're thinking about, that you're identifying as, it's a matter of fact. And so when you are having a thought and you are impressing that thought into the subconscious through repetition, through prolonged, compulsory thinking about it, when you are in that pressing of that thought in, if you really believe it, if you can assume it to be true and with certainty feel it that it's already happened, you can live in the end of it. So if you're working on becoming, a millionaire, if you are constantly checking your bank account or constantly wondering why things aren't working, you're not in the certainty that you are already in the state of being a millionaire of wealth. You haven't dropped in and impressed the feeling, not the emotion, but the feeling of what it feels like to be of wealth, of abundance. By your birthright, you are abundant. By your ability to have a coherent thought with a coherent feeling of certainty, you will project out from the subconscious. The subconscious will birth that which you're holding, that state, that certainty. So this is, the name of the game is we're always manifesting. We're projecting this whole light show out in front of us. Essentially, the universe isn't out there, it's inside here. And what I really wanted to give an example about is, you think about pregnancy. If you have had a child, you impress the idea, you drop the seed of consciousness into the womb space, and your subconscious, built in the image of you, this child comes out of your womb. It is just like that with dropping in these ideas, these desires that are being brought in, these wishes that are ready to be fulfilled. They're dropping into your womb space, which is like your subconscious, and it's being pressed in to be then birthed out of you into this holographic experience. So but what also wins is if, let's say, you had two different feelings or self-concepts. You're saying to yourself, I am wealthy, but deep down you feel poor because most of your life you grew up in poverty. You've barely been scraping by through your life. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to do some practices to actually recode your subconscious mind with new levels of states of being and feeling of certainty. So that's why these practical exercises, especially with the workbook that I created, are so important, because if you haven't put these things into practice through repetition and things like revisions, redoing, and creating new memories in the subconscious, and giving that repetition, giving time for the subconscious to set up a new state, to be impressed on long enough to have new levels of content to go off of what it's going to project from, then, you know, when you have those two thoughts of I am wealthy, but deep down you feel I am poor, the one that's strongest is going to win. That's what's going to outpicture. Your subconscious is going to outpicture what it's truly holding, the state of the state of being. Whatever you truly believe about yourself deep down is what is going to win and produce on the outside. Let me just read one more part about that. Therefore, the man who does not control his feelings may easily impress the subconscious with undesirable states. By control of feeling, it is not meant restraint or suppression of your feeling, but rather the disciplining of self to imagine and entertain only such feeling as contributes to your happiness. Control of feeling is all important to a full and happy life. Never entertain an undesirable feeling, nor think sympathetically about wrong in any shape or form. Do not dwell on the imperfections of yourself or others. To do so is to impress the subconscious with this limitation. And that's the important part. Do not dwell. So it's not that you can't ever have a negative thought or, to be thinking low. It's that when you get down a rabbit hole and you're dwelling deeply, you're deeply suppressing through repetition, through that dwelling. You're deeply impressing within your subconscious mind that limitation. What you do not want done unto you, do not feel that it is done unto you or another. This is the whole law of a full and happy life. Everything else is complementary. Every feeling makes a subconscious impression, and unless it is counteracted by a more powerful feeling of an opposite nature, it must be expressed. So that's your key right there, is it has to be overridden by a more powerful feeling of opposition. So this will mean, more repetition, more dwelling on being in the state of abundance. And so you may need to do some practical exercises of, where do you already feel abundant? Where do you already feel, what does abundance bring? Freedom, ease. Where do you already feel freedom? Where do you feel ease? And if you can go place yourself in those types of situations, that's going to build and start to impress in the subconscious mind that you know how to be in that state. You know how to be in that type of feeling. And then the most powerful one that I wanted to bring up for today, which is sets, getting in a state akin to sleep, meaning putting yourself in a meditative state so that your brain can slow down from beta to alpha to theta, in a slow down brain state, and a slow down breathing, conscious breathing, and getting into a suspended state with your eyes closed, imagining like you're floating almost, getting in between the realms of being conscious, your eyes open, to in the deep, deep bliss, slumber, like you're just about to fall asleep. That middle zone is a perfect zone for you to impress new feelings, because you're already going to put yourself in a regulated nervous system state. Your body is going to feel safe to receive these new impressions. And that's really a big key as well, is that in order for us to have that which we're putting in, these stronger impressed feelings and desires, we must have our body feel safe. When the body feels safe, it will so much easier take in a new program, take in a new scene, take in an upgrade in your self-concept, and allow you to feel as if. So by getting into sats, the best way you can do it is right before you're going to bed, even right when you get up, or even in the middle of the night if you happen to get up to use the restroom. Otherwise, like in the middle of the day, going to nature, somewhere where you can get into that slowed down brain, slowed down heart, slow down breath, and get into that middle zone from being conscious to almost falling asleep. Once you get into that state, in that relaxed meditative state, head to toe, your body's relaxed. Imagine like you're floating, like you're suspended in air, and you are starting to sense your body feeling at ease, and allow yourself to really gently be in that ease. Once you're in that ease, you can recall something that's easy for you to even attract even more of that ease feeling. Meaning, like if you go to your happy place, where is that? Is it going to the beach? Is it visiting a farm that you've been to as a child? Is it being near a horse that you love to visit? So dropping yourself into a scenery or a recalled state of a place you've already experienced, your brain is going to recall that as familiar and safe as well. So there's like double safety. You're relaxed. Your brain remembers this, meaning the amygdala is not saying, oh no, that's not safe. It says, oh no, this is very safe. Then once you're already dropping deeper into that familiarity, that happy place, then you can start to ask or instruct higher self, we're going to go ahead and experience wealth. What does it feel like for me to be the billionaire, to be the millionaire? And you can wait for something to show up around you. Like you can wait for just spontaneous drop ins of visuals will come in for me. I might see myself tearing a big check and handing it over, buying a car. I've had that happen a lot where I'm writing a big check and I'm handing it over someone to buy something cash. Um, Whatever that is for you, it might come to you naturally from the subconscious, or you may insert something. So if you insert that you're going to have a big wad of cash and you're going to buy something cash, or you have your checkbook and you're going to buy it with a checkbook or a credit card, you can imagine making that transaction. And what Neville always reminds us is that we want the sats, that state akin to sleep, in a rehearsal of sorts of visualizing something. We want it to be short and sweet, 5 to 7 seconds, no longer. Also, he talks about that with revisions, like when we want to change something that happened in the day that we wish we had it happen differently, or in some portion of our life. We want to change that scene, just a short little blippet of the scene, but sticking to what we're working on. So when you're doing that short visualization, you want to have the visualization be something at the end of an accomplishment. If you were already a millionaire, how would your life be? Would you maybe be sitting back on a lounge chair overlooking, your infinity pool? That's like you're already in it. One of the techniques I share is the 10-day ago method, or something, 10 days ago, I already did this, or 10 months ago, I became a multimillionaire. Whatever it is, sometimes these little extra things will help as well. But we want to have that end scene of what we're focusing on, and we want it to be a short, looped vision. So I would, if I'm working with the handing over the check, writing it out, handing it over, I would just kind of see that happen a few times. And I would want to make sure that I'm maintaining the feeling of wealth, the feeling of being a multimillionaire who easily writes checks. If that started to make my nervous system question it, or I feel like an imposter, or I notice my heart rate rises, or something doesn't feel the ease, I start pulling myself out of that deep state of akin to sleep, the slowed down brain of theta waves, deep relaxation. Then I know that I'm not possibly ready for that scene, or I need to do some more rehearsal on this to practice. I may need to tell my nervous system that we're safe to have this. It's safe to change. Wealth is safe. And this is where we do practices together. If you want to work with me with hypnosis and regression, sometimes there's a memory that needs to be cleared out, or two or three. And also, sometimes we need to work with like a 21-day audio with hypnosis too. get the brain to start to recognize safety in the thing you're working on, such as wealth. So I hope this helps you. I hope you have a beautiful day. And remember, you can check out the Neville Goddard Deluxe Collection. You can find it on YouTube as well if you're an audio person. And then I'll put in the link below the Neville Goddard Reality Creation Workbook. I think you'll find that very helpful as we work with the practical ways of Neville. Have a great day.